What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video I have some more somewhat shocking news for you guys, so make sure you stick around for that. Also want to dive into the fourth stimulus check update, what we're hearing there, how some progressives want to see a larger stimulus package. However, many moderates say that the 3.5 trillion is just too expensive, and there's a handful of moderates in the House that may potentially reject the entire bill and the budget resolution simply because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to move forward with the bipartisan $1.2 trillion bill. So we got a lot of updates for you guys today. Let's get started. First off, just want to say thank you guys for watching. If you could and you enjoy these updates, could you please hit that like button? Also, consider subscribing so I can keep you up to date on everything that is going on. Now here's what we know. Right now, the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, it has been approved. It's not passed. It's been approved by the Senate, and that was this morning. It was approved 50-49. Even though every Democrat supported this bill, immediately after this bill was accepted, or pretty much passed, I guess, we heard from multiple Democrats that said they didn't support the price of the bill. They do not support that $3.5 trillion price tag. They stated they like the idea, however, that $3.5 trillion in additional stimulus on top of that $1.2 trillion bill that they passed the other day, it's not needed. We don't need that much additional infrastructure. However, I just want to point out that these are just the senators that are arguing. We aren't even getting a lot of the updates from the House. But just to give you an idea, one update that we did get from multiple reports, they're saying currently there's between 8 to 10 moderates in the House that are saying they will not vote for the budget resolution if Nancy Pelosi doesn't bring the bipartisan bill to the floor first. So remember when I told you this the other day, that what's going to happen is progressives, they currently have a little bit of leverage in the House. They don't have the leverage in the Senate, the moderates do. But progressives in the House have a little bit of leverage. Well, according to multiple reports, they're saying that in order to fight for somewhat of that leverage back, moderates in the House are now saying, well, if Nancy Pelosi and progressives don't want to put the bipartisan bill to the floor until after the budget resolution bill is accepted and passed, well then we're just not going to vote for the budget resolution bill, and we just won't pass that. So that's what we're getting, is they're trying to fight for leverage. And the way this works is in Congress is everybody's just going to butt heads, keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until somebody decides to cave. Well, if nobody caves, it's pretty much going to go down to the 11th hour where somebody will eventually have to cave, or what normally happens is either the president steps in or one of the leaders, either Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker of the House or Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer would have to step in and pretty much entice the senators or the representatives to accept the deal as it is, and in exchange they will get something in return. That's normally what we see. We're pretty much buying our congressmen and women at this time in order to get their approval, which is, it's tough to hear, but that's the way Congress works. So, two of the main holdouts in the Senate right now are Senator Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. What we know is that both of them have stated in the past that they do not support the cost of this bill. Even Kyrsten Sinema herself, last month, she said, and I quote, "I do not support a bill that costs $3.5 trillion. Joe Manchin stated from himself and from multiple aides of his, stated that he would support a $2 trillion price tag for a Democrat-only infrastructure bill. At this time, though, just keep this in mind, Bernie Sanders was coming out with some type of framework for a $6 trillion infrastructure bill. And Joe Manchin, after he saw that, said he would support $2 trillion. Okay, that could have been a tactic to try to counter the $6 trillion price tag. It was effective and it worked because ultimately Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Schumer agreed with President Biden to just go forward with a $3.5 trillion bill. Well, what we know is that for moderates, a $3.5 trillion price tag is still somewhat high. Progressives say it's too low. Bernie Sanders has stated that anything under $3 trillion would never pass and he would not support it. And Joe Manchin says $2 trillion is more than enough in addition to the $1.2 trillion bill. Again, that's over $3 trillion in infrastructure. However, many Republicans say that no, only $1.2 trillion is actually infrastructure and the other 2 or 3.5, whatever passes in this social infrastructure package, is technically stimulus, which is one of the reasons why I and many others are calling this a stimulus package, because that's essentially what it is. So, according to multiple experts, they are anticipating this bill will be anywhere from $2 to $3 trillion when it's all said and done. But again, as I know more, I promise I will share more. However, this does mean there's going to be changes. Here's what we know. The Medicare package, as it stands right now, is going to include the age change, go from 65 down to 60. It's also going to include dental, vision, and hearing. What you need to keep in mind is if this package, this $3.5 trillion infrastructure package, goes from 3.5 down to 2 or 2.5, we could potentially see cuts to Medicare. The age change to Medicare could be in limbo. We also are hearing that stimulus checks could be cut out of the talks. Just keep this in mind. Stimulus checks aren't even included. But what we're hearing is if we go from a $3.5 trillion price tag down to 2 or 2.5, stimulus checks would simply be cut out of all talks. Not just the proposals and the negotiation process, they'd be cut out of the talks. The discussions would cease. It would be done. So that's not great news, because even though right now about 100 lawmakers support additional stimulus checks, they don't have the majority. And that's where things are getting a little bit somewhat interesting. We're also hearing that the child tax credit payment extension could be cut from 4 years potentially down to 2, bringing this down, cutting this almost in half. Or, according to a few moderates, this could be completely removed. So again, that's a big change there. We also know that the 7% expense limit to childcare could be increased. This could actually be increased from 7% up to 10 to 15%. Right now, Americans spend about 30 to 35% of their monthly income on childcare alone. Now, the average isn't looking so great either, but what we're hearing is that a 7% increase or 7% expense limit is actually pretty low, that if we could boost that up and almost double it to about 14 to 15%, it would actually save a little bit on this bill. According to some experts, they say that the earned income tax credit would most likely see additional changes as well. We actually got reports just the other week on that as well, that there was a proposal that was going to come about that was going to increase this up to $8,000 per year, plus it would actually increase the earned income tax credit. Instead of the limit where it is sitting now, it would jump up to $90,000 per year of income, and you would still qualify for an earned income tax credit depending on how many children you have. So right now there's a lot of stuff going on, but just keep in mind that as all this new information comes out, I promise I'll bring you the latest news and updates, but just understand, as all this stuff comes out, lawmakers are looking at this, experts and economists are looking at these details, the new data, the new proposals, and trying to come up with better things that make that data, it would be more beneficial for the American people in the future. Or the new proposals that come out, lawmakers will look at it and be like, oh, I can make an changement, or I can make a change or a little adjustment here, tweak these different parts, and make this proposal even better and slap my name on it. I'll be the one that will support this. I'll be the one that will bring this piece of legislation to Congress. And so that's kind of what we're hearing at this time. The problem though, and this is a big problem, right now is that many economists believe additional stimulus is needed. They say that if lawmakers can't agree on both the infrastructure packages as they stand right now, there's absolutely no hope for additional stimulus. As far as what kind of stimulus they are supporting, that's really up in the air. And I've been saying this for a while. A stimulus check, and the reason why I want to update you on a stimulus check every single day is because every single day we're getting adjustments and changes and new updates as to a stimulus check In the old way, here's your money, goes right to your bank account or right to your mailbox. That stimulus check is something that we may not see. But we may see stimulus in the form of increasing the earned income tax credit, increasing possibly the child tax credit payments, right? We could see that. We could see additional assistance for housing, maybe mortgage assistance or additional forbearance. That could be included as well. Again, these are all just possibilities. These are all up for discussion at this time. So, what I can tell you is that there's going to be more. There will be more. Lawmakers have stated there's going to be more. Senator Schumer has said that this next package will have the largest tax cuts for middle income earners. Lower income earners will most likely see additional benefits as well. But just keep in mind, it's going to be a slow process. It's going to be a grueling process, but eventually when it's all over, it's all said and done, hopefully there's more for us. But let's get into the COVID news for today. Millions of people have been reportedly getting their own COVID booster shot without FDA approval. What is actually happening, and this is something that I've been seeing a lot on Facebook, is people are going and they're actually admitting to the fact that they are going to get a booster shot. And what they do is they initially get the either Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, the 2 doses, and then months later, they go and get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Okay, and that's going to act, according to them, as a booster shot. Essentially, it's pretty much the same thing, but what we're hearing from multiple reports is that you don't need to do this. The CDC states that this is not needed, and the original vaccine, even 6 to 8 months later, will still be sufficient. I don't think a lot of people want just to be sufficient. They want to be fully protected. But even even when you first get it, or 2 weeks later when the efficacy rate is at the highest, it's still like 94 to 96% effective. So it's not like 100% effective no matter what. So we'll see. CNN also reported earlier today that the FDA is expected to announce a COVID vaccine booster shot for people who are immunocompromised. So this is kind of a third emergency use authorization vaccine, in addition to Pfizer or Moderna. But what you need to keep in mind is that right now, some are saying that this is the only hope that these people will have. It's just a smaller dose. So it's going to be somewhat effective, but not as effective as the full dose. The vaccine advisors are also expected to meet on Friday to discuss booster doses moving forward. And the demand for COVID vaccines have dropped significantly. According to many reports, millions of doses are going to expire very soon. The expiration date is going to come up at the end of this month. That is the first reported batch of vaccines that will expire. And again, these vaccines are just sitting in refrigerators across the country and in other countries as well. But the reports indicate that as soon as September 1st rolls around, these vaccines will be garbage. They will be thrown away. They will not be used ever again. So the reports indicate that if you have not got the vaccine, the health experts recommend you go and get it as soon as possible before there could potentially be a shortage in vaccines or a shortage in the vaccine plus a booster. So that's what we're hearing right now. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share more. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.